Dang it. Hey everyone, GameHounds podcast. Sorry if there's no title here. I have to fix that. I realized, I didn't create a title for this.
Shame.
Yeah, because I didn't. I set up the podcast before I. Let's see, but it's GameHounds 649. It's going to be PT is dead. Microsoft
It's always been dead.
hates Sony. Lots to talk about this week. Okay. Yeah, I forgot to put the. Normally, I do I do the news before I start. You know, I like create all my news lists and all my topics before I actually initiate the feed. Today, I was a little bit late, so I initiated the feed first, and then I didn't have like an idea of what to call the show. So yeah, I have to take care of that. So I am renaming everything. Save changes. And I have to do one more. I have to
Come on, Jupiter, Twitch. You can make that jump.
Edit the Twitch category. All right. And we are going to just chatting. Okay, cool. Excellent. All right. Much, much, much better. Hi, everyone. Edie and Nick here, GameHounds podcast. Sorry, we were had to do a little bit of cleaning up afterwards. How are you? How was your week?
Good. This is a reminder that I will not be here next week.
Right. So we are dark next week. So unfortunately, that's the way things go. Unless, I get Andrew off on for a day. It could just
you might be able to.
I might.
Call him up.
I might. Andrew might be listening for all I know.
Give him a bonus. Say, hey, we'll pay you twice as much. We'll pay you overtime for doing this.
Yeah, true. Yeah, twice as much as we normally. I'll pay him 5 times what we normally do.
Ooh, that's a good deal.
Yeah. So we got Pissed in the chat room. Hey, Pissed. We got Bitters in the chat room. Hey, Bitters.
Yes, it's been about a week since I shaved. So.
Yeah. The cool stuff is definitely back.
The cool Nick is here.
Why didn't you shave this week?
Lazy.
We have to get you a light.
Yes, hey, I can. Let's try.
No, Nick.
Turning.
It will not help. It will not help. You're turning the wrong direction.
Oh, okay. That's
you
right.
want the light on your face. All right, there you go. You're still like.
I have to like.
Right, you have to be
with way.
Like right, exactly. I've got the window literally right there behind me, and that's why I'm fully lit. It's okay. Mm-hmm. This is what a ring light is for. You need to invest $30 it takes into a good ring light. In fact, I just got an improved ring light because my ring light is kind of not exactly what I need. I may just bring that to you, like that you have my old one.
Okay.
It's not going to be great for you because it's just it's a ring light with just a stand, and that's kind of the problem because you need it right here, and I can't do that. Like I've got it, like there, and
I can just put it off
that.
I can just kind of put it off to my dark side.
You could use it as what they call a fill. You can fill your dark side, which is what I'm using this cheap one now. And I've got a more expensive one that I can actually now connect my webcam to it, and it will actually be good.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
See, it's my look is just representative of my inner struggles between the light side and the dark side. It's visual metaphor. I'm turning this podcast into an autistic statement about the human condition.
What a load.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Jesus. Bitter says he needs to have a cool moody backlight. You do need a cool moody backlight on top of that. Like that blue, like that blank thing behind you. You need a little something to
we want to put something up there, but
yeah. Oh, I will show you some cool stuff that you could put up there. They're not cheap, but they're cool.
Okay.
AC Wraith finally in the house. Our link bitch. Hi, how are you? I gotta even out my left and right channel. There we go. He said, Bitter says Team Nick. You're wrong. You can be on his
Thank
team,
you.
but you're wrong.
Yeah, I like you, Bitters. I choose you first. You're my first choice for my team.
Okay. AC Wraith says, Doe, I didn't have the tap on top and missed the start. Oh, the tab on top. That's okay. Thank you for reminding me of the Patreon. Yes, we are Patreon funded. Thank you very much. If you have not already subscribed, please do. $1 a month is all we ask. It helps fund all of this. Also, let me throw this out to you, please. If you are watching on YouTube right now, thank you. But if you have a Twitch account, could you watch on the Twitch account? We are very close to meeting a milestone, a threshold. And the thing that's hurting us right now is viewers per hour on Twitch. And here's the thing. I know a lot of you are like, because I've got it spread over Facebook and YouTube and Twitch, some of you are watching at different places. If you have a Twitch account just for today, can you move over and you're on YouTube, move over to the Twitch account. Let me give you the location for it if you haven't found it already. It is... where is it? I need to find it. Did I not save it? Oh, there we go. Twitch.tv/the GameHounds. If you could migrate over there for just a tick, like for this show, and then you can go back to your regular programming, but just for today. And if you are watching on YouTube and you don't have a Twitch account, that's cool. That's fine. Just like and subscribe us. Also another milestone-y thing we need. Coy
Wallace.
AC Ray says, suffer my Twitch emoticons.
Coy Wallace is not on my team. I do not choose him. You suck.
Why? What did he say?
He's team anti-gray block.
Oh, there he is.
Team
anti-gray block.
Gray block forever. # gray block forever.
No, we can live without gray block forever. We can absolutely do without that.
No. I'm making that hashtag just because you said that.
And Pissed, case in point, Pissed just said, "Oh wow, I wasn't following on Twitch. Well, I'm here and I'm following." Thank you. If you haven't followed us on Twitch, again, another one of those little milestones that are so freaking important on Twitch. Please do that. Even if you watch it on YouTube, go over to Twitch right now. Follow us on Twitch while you're here watching it on Twitch for today. So, I guess we can start the show. I don't really have any big announcements. Again, if you missed it, we are dark next week. Nick is out, at least I think. Until further notice, we're dark. Simply because Nick is going to be out of town. Now, if I can get Andrew, maybe wake him up for the day. I don't know if he might be working that day, but if I can get him in for the show, then we can do that. But if not, then we'll just be dark. So the standing order is right now. We are dark next week. However, if that changes, we will put it in the Discord. There's the Discord information. Go to our Discord. And I believe on Twitch and on YouTube, our channel should actually list our Discord channel. So, go over there and, subscribe to that Discord channel and you'll get a notification that if that changes. You also get notifications when I go live because I'm going live a lot on Twitch. I don't go live on YouTube, but I go live on Twitch. And
so Coy Wallace has elevated himself. He went from being negative anti-gray block to being back in the middle because he is now watching us on 3 different platforms.
Oh, you get the listener of the day. Mm-hmm. Thank you for putting that in there. Possibly no show next week. Actually, I'd say more than possibly, likely no show next week. It's only remotely possible that we might change our mind, but it's probably going to be not around. So, let's see. Anything else we need to do before we start the show?
No.
All right, then let me get some waveforms. Check. Nick?
Test. Hello.
All right, we got waveforms all the way around. All right, let's start the show. We need to go here. We need to not loop the music, and we need to do the GameHounds intro. And here we go.
Corey Wallace says, we'll make our own show next week in ESO.
Yeah, true. All right, standing by, and now we're starting.
This podcast discusses video games, modern culture, and technology, and these podcasters are big fat potty mouths. If you're younger than 18 or are easily offended, please stop this podcast now. Oh, and your mom says to take out the trash and do your homework.
Hello and welcome to GameHounds. GameHounds episode 649. We are recording this on Sunday, August 14th, 2022. I'm Edie Sellers and with me is Nick DiNicola. As usual, how are you?
I'm good.
Yeah? Same old, nothing interesting?
No, things are good.
So you would not know this if you're listening on the podcast, but if you are on the live stream on Twitch and YouTube and Twitter right now, or Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook, you would know Nick is scruffy. We have not discussed why you are so scruffy today.
Because I was in the shower and I thought, you know what, I should shave. But then I thought, you know what, I also want to go make some eggs. And it's kind of late in the morning. I should make the eggs. So I decided to do that instead of shaving.
Oh, well,
that's ultimately what it comes down to is just that.
Yeah. Lazy is what you're saying.
Yes. I said that on top of the show too. It's just lazy.
It's just like lazy, a good reason, especially on a Sunday. It's not like, I
mean, when I don't have to go into the office, like it's less of a reason.
Corey Wallace just called you a scruffy nerve herder.
I deserve that.
So let's talk about what we played this week, and we very much played stuff this week.
We played a game that I then completely forgot about.
How did you forget about it? We played it on Twitch 3 nights in a row, 2 nights in a row, 3 nights. 3 nights in a row.
When you were saying what games did you play, I thought of like the 2 other games that I played, and I completely forgot about Dusk.
Yeah, As Dusk Falls, as promised. We did book 1, which is 3 chapters, on Sunday. Then we did 2 of the 3 chapters of book 2 on Monday, and then we finished it up book 2 chapter 3 on Tuesday. Mm-hmm. And the difference in our opinions of this game between book 1 and book 2 were night and day. Yeah. Because that game is 2 different games. One of them is genius. I can't think of any way you could make that game better. The other one loses track. It's like it forgot what it was in book 1 and just makes some tactical decisions that are just take away. Like it I'm glad we broke it up because it would affect my opinion of that game overall if I'd have played it all in one sitting.
Yeah. Book
1 taken in itself is so good. So freaking it's good. It's like a Tarantino film. It's that tight.
So for reference, it's a choose your own adventure story, very similar to the Dark Pictures anthology or any Quantic Dreams game, where you have an event, you play as multiple characters, and throughout it you get dialogue choices that will then kind of branch into different things happening. You have choices of what to do when an event happens, and that branches the story. And so it's that kind of branching story. The first chapter involves this couple that stops off at a motel and gets caught up in a hostage situation. And there's a lot of different plot threads going on. You play as the father of the family, But then you also play as one of the hostage takers, who you find out are like these three kids who robbed, three brothers who robbed the sheriff because they have money problems, their families tough, into debt, and they sort of fell into this hostage situation, not necessarily because they're bad people, but just because, you know, tough life situations. And then you have the sheriff who's corrupt, and these kids accidentally stole like his little black book of accounts. So he wants to do whatever he can to end this hostage situation as fast as possible. Not necessarily as cleanly as possible, just as fast as possible. So you've got these three main plots that all converge at this motel, and the kind of explosive things that can happen from it. And it's cool seeing what happened for us and then what also could have happened.
Yeah. And because it is, book one is essentially the hostage situation. It resolves in book one, the actual hostage situation. So it is very tight, very easily bookended. It's very, what's the word I want? It's discreet. We've got a big, like a act of finding out who these people are and what their backgrounds are. We have the act of the hostage situation rolling out, and then we have the act of the resolving of the hostage situation. The multiplayer is actually really smartly done. Nick and I have played the Dark Pictures anthology before, and this is very different, and I think it's much smarter the way that they've done it. Is that Nick and I don't play separate characters making our own decisions. You can disagree on how you want to do things, and then when that happens, you can agree, which means that the answer that you choose will be the answer you do. You can disagree, and then it will randomize who. It's actually not random. It's like opposite. It's like switches back and forth.
It feels random.
It isn't. It's every other. Yeah. No, I actually gamed that system a number of times. Disagreed with you just because I knew like something I didn't care about, because I knew that in the future there might be something I really cared about that I wanted to go my way. Now, in these situations here that you're seeing on the screen, there are unique decisions that are crossroads. These are decisions that actually affect the story, and you must agree. And it is not timed. The other decisions, you only have a limited amount of time to make the decision. Crossroads, unlimited time. So you can sit there and argue. As you could see on the screen right now, Nick and I are absolutely arguing about what we should do right now and making cases to each other about why we want the decision that we want and why the other decision is wrong. And it'll let you sit there the entire game if you want to argue over those two decisions. There is also a mechanism, and you can see it in the upper right-hand corner, of overrides. That if someone really wants to override the whole decision and say, no, we need to do this. And you only have 3 overrides per book. So there were multiple times when I overrode Nick, when Nick overrode me and I let it go. And then there were times when we literally got into a war trying to override each other, and it was a matter of attrition of who was going to have the last vote. Nick actually once saved his last vote because he wanted to be able to override me later, just in case. At the end of each book, you have a path. It will show you the path that you went through, and you won't see the alternate decisions or the alternate events that would take place if you made decisions, but you could see threads. You'd see that your decision, and there'd be a blank square and another blank square, which means there were 3 decisions you could make. Mm-hmm. And and then you would see other threads coming off of it. It was like a flow chart. You'd see the other flow of this alternate reality, not knowing what they are, but in some cases you could sort of extrapolate of what they might be. And it's really, really diverse endings. Really diverse endings. And the endings get way more diverse the farther along the story you go, which is really neat to actually have that.
Yeah.
The first book, tight as hell, like a Tarantino film. It's so good because you're seeing not only the backstory of the family, which there's definitely a backstory on that family, that every single relationship is complicated. You are also getting breadcrumbs that there are bits of these relationships that you don't know about, but will obviously be something important later. There's also, you go back, it's a bit time switching. You go through the current day and then you will go back 14 hours or 6 hours or 14 years, whatever it takes to kind of tell these stories all the way along, so that you get a sense of not only who these people are in this motel lobby that are holed up and in a hostage situation, but you get a sense of how they got there and why they're there. So they each in their own ways become sort of sympathetic, and also each in their own ways become sort of fucked up. So there's no, that's a really good story. That you could see the complexity. There's no like black and white in this. And it's a really good ride. Book 2 goes into the aftermath of how the hostage situation plays out.
Yeah.
And that's where it gets loose. I think they made some very bad tactical decisions. I think the biggest mistake that they made is they switch the focus of the story from the actual people that you played in the first half of the book and switch it to not only a bunch of kind of side characters, but also focus the story on the daughter, because we have a father, a mother, a grandfather, and a daughter that are right. The family. And it switches to the daughter, who was important, but kind of not. She wasn't a real player in that first story.
Eventually it switches to her. But what's cool about the first book is, like I said, you play as the hostages and the hostage takers. In the book 2, for the first 2 chapters of book 2, you play as the hostage takers on the run from the police. So you kind of completely forget about the family. They become a non-entity in the story going forward. You just play as these people on the run, and then you kind of jump into other characters that you've never met before, other characters that are side characters, and
other characters that you literally saw for a half second at the beginning of the game.
Characters
and they're important. Don't get me wrong; they're important to the story because it's decisions that they make that actually affect the hostage takers as they were on the run, the fugitives as they're on the run. So I see why they had you play it, but it's still, you aren't as emotionally invested in these characters as you were in the characters you play in the first book.
Yes. I really don't care about the little boy that gets lost in the woods. Mm-hmm. He gets gored by a boar, and I just think it's funny.
And it really, and his whole, just not, sort of spoilers, his whole existence in the story is only a decision that he makes at the end that will absolutely affect what happens with the fugitives. But I don't know that was a really best use of my time playing this game.
Yeah. And so then you play as them on the run for 2 chapters. But then it jumps ahead 14 years, and you play as the daughter of the hostages, now grown up in college, who seems to be suffering nightmares from this event, who seems
PTSD,
to be really traumatized.
seriously traumatized by it.
But really traumatized by it, which, based on what happened for us in book one, seems unrealistically extreme.
It
Like,
does.
the way that she keeps waking up by these nightmares, it feels like, girl, it's been 14 years. This happened when you were 6. I don't remember. I barely remember what happened to me at 6.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the fact that this event, what she went through, which was relatively minor, all things considered, and like it seems to have impacted her to this degree that she's like waking up at night, that she's like holding her breath underwater to be like, how close to death can I get? It's like, wow.
Yeah.
It just
It seems like a non
I
sequitur,
yeah,
especially, and maybe it would make sense if we had played the first game slightly differently.
maybe, but then that's a tactical writing error because suddenly your themes don't come together based on player
Right,
choice.
exactly. We decided early on to make a decision that removes her for the most part from the story.
Mhm.
And in light of the decisions that we made, it seems like it really didn't make sense that she was as traumatized as she was, because she wasn't around for 99% of it.
Yeah.
But her father's fine, and her mother is fine, and her
Yeah.
grandfather is sort of
And
fine.
yeah, and like her dad is just like, yeah, I'm doing good.
He
I'm
had a
doing
happy
good, honey.
ending.
And he went through the most
He
shit.
went through the most shit.
So yeah, I get that the game kind of wants to explore the ideas of like trauma and the way it lasts and like how to get over it,
Mm-hmm.
but it just doesn't do it very well.
Yeah.
It just, that last chapter where you kind of play as the daughter going through this comes way too late. If they wanted to, what they should have done is basically make the hostage takers kidnap the daughter and take her on the run with them.
Right.
That would have made way more sense in the end.
Right.
But that's not what happened.
It's not what happens. Another thing that we noticed about the game is it does have connection issues.
Oh, yeah.
Nick and I both dropped a lot of times, and it was a little bit frustrating because in some cases we couldn't reconnect and we would have to restart the game in order to reconnect, which was frustrating to say the least.
And I think what most affected my opinion in this game and what most made me like forget about it in the end is the very last scene is this blatant cliffhanger for more.
Mm-hmm.
And it comes out of nowhere. And what I hate so much about it is it takes what at first was the story of these average people caught up in extreme circumstances,
Mm-hmm.
and by that last scene it turns them into soap opera characters, and I'm like,
I
this
kind of
jumped the shark.
disagree with you. I kind of disagree with you. Nick really took exception to the cliffhanger. I liked the cliffhanger. I thought the cliffhanger was good. And maybe a little extreme, but I like the fact that they are leaving the door open for more.
But they don't need to.
I don't know. They might not need to story wise, but they might need to financially. So I don't begrudge them. They if this takes off and they want to do more, then that's great. I liken this to I'm having a brain cramp because I tend to have them. The girl who's in the gifted school in Washington, she's a photographer and she can roll back time.
Max Caulfield, Stranger Than Fiction. No.
No.
Stranger, not
No,
Stranger Things.
not Stranger Things. It's
Life
not
is Strange.
Life is Strange. Yes, it reminds me a little bit of Life is Strange, in that Life is Strange. If anything, I wish that it had that each of the different stories that followed up made more continuous sense. Does that's a word? It wasn't Life is Strange's story was so discreet that the only way that they could go back for a sequel was to retell the story from somebody else's point of view, which is an interesting take. It worked for Anne Rice in her novels, but I think I would rather have seen that game leave a little something open so that we could continue the story rather than rehash the old story that we knew about.
No, I think the best thing those games did is turn themselves into an anthology where, each new set of games is different characters in different situations with different powers.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good idea.
Right.
There's only so much you can do to one person before it starts becoming absurd. Right? There's only so much drama and so much conflict you can do to one person. It's like 24. By the end of 24, the Kiefer Sutherland show, it's just like this dude, every 2 years, this dude just has a day that is like the most stressful, momentously horrible day. And he's had 10 of them. It's like, dude, retire. Like, why are you doing this? Just stop.
Yeah. But overall, I'm glad I played it. I'm probably going to play it again. Something else that it has, which I was not aware of until we sat down, and we tried to play it when we were playing together, but you can't play it in multiplayer. You can only play it in single player.
Yeah.
Is something called streamer mode. And that allows you to, if you're playing in single mode, viewers on like Twitch or wherever you want to stream it to, if they download the app for this game, they can actually help you make decisions. They can play it with you actively instead of you asking the community, like, hey, what should I do right now? And having to wait. They can literally play it with you. They can be the multiplayer.
I've seen the Nextlander guys played some of this game with that mode. So I got to see how it plays out. And basically, you get the choice where you can choose an option, but then it has a little timer and a percentage next to each option, which is how many people choose it. And it's just a matter of percentages.
It's a vote.
Yeah.
It's a community vote of how you should play it.
It's community vote, and I'm not sure how much weight the player's response has on it, but there's some weight to it, but it's mostly community vote.
And I just love that idea. I think that employing that just makes it more interesting simply because there are, and if you want to go back and watch it, it is all on Twitch, the playthrough. I'm going to migrate it over to YouTube in the next week. When we finished it all up, Nick actually went online to find out all the possible endings. And the possible endings are huge. So many different endings you can get out of this. I think we possibly got the best ending, with the exception of the one decision that we made that only 6% of players made.
Which I stand by.
I think it was a terrible decision, but, I let you have it.
I stand by. But, yeah, it's interesting to see how it could have turned out for everyone.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Very interesting to see how it could turn out for everyone. So I'm not going to say it's not a bad game. Certainly Book 1 is an excellent game. Book 2, less so. Overall, I would say it's very good. It's a $30 price right now. I would say, meh. I'd say I would feel way more confident in recommending it if it was 20. I think 30 is a little bit spendy, depending on if you're somebody that can go back and replay, that feels like going back and replaying stuff. The problem is that it ends on such a weak note. It may not make you feel like you want to go back. If it started slow and ended hot, I would say absolutely, because you will want to go back. And if it wasn't, honestly, we're sort of, I think, penalizing it in our opinion of it, simply because the first book was so good.
Well, yeah, it starts well and then ends poorly, and that's definitely
Right.
worth
And no, I don't think it
criticism.
ends poorly. I think you think it ends poorly because the first was so good.
No, I think it.
If
I
it
think it
had been,
ends
if it would
poorly.
have been more even pace, like more average
If the
through the whole
beginning had
game,
been
we would have
worse,
said yeah. If the beginning had been worse and the end would have been great, you'd have been like, "What a great game!"
but
It's
yeah,
just the way
yeah,
it played out. I think that it penalizes itself by being too good at the beginning, and not being able to follow it up with a solid chapter two, book two.
yeah.
So, anyway, also I love the art style. I never playing this game didn't. When I see this in my head, I don't think of it being still shots. It felt like I'm like actually a movie, even though you can see on the screen it is stills
Yeah, I
with
know.
moving backgrounds and some movement. But
I've read a lot of people had a lot of issue with that, but
really,
I really enjoyed it. I
I
dug it.
didn't. I didn't. I thought it was in the way that graphic novels and manga don't make me feel like I'm looking at screenshots because my brain fills in the movement in between. The same way with this is that I only realized, I mean, only when I really thought about it and we were really critiquing it, it's like, holy crap, this isn't like a regular RPG, like, like a moving RPG. These are actually stills. It didn't occur to me until I actually thought about it because I was subconsciously adding the movement in my head.
Yeah, and I think it does a good job of uh, when something moves fast, it shifts from one frame to another really fast, so that like you get that sense of motion. You're not like looking at this and seeing, oh, he's like this, then he's taking another step, then another step. It just flips through it really fast, so that all you see is like the general outline. So you just get that sense of movement
Right.
without, and that's what it wants to do. It wants
And
to express that movement.
then they'll change the camera position over something or around something
Yeah, which is
so that
interesting.
it makes it feel like you're looking, it's just
Well, yeah, like watching this now, when you just said that, I realized it's got the shaky
shaky
cam.
cam.
So even though the characters are still and the background is still, the camera is constantly moving like it's an indie movie.
It does a lot of things really smartly. It has so much potential. And the first book lives up to that. Second book, not so much. I think overall, I probably score it higher than Nick because I think Nick was way more disappointed with the end that we had, the cliffhanger. I think that he was
Yeah,
he's
I
he's really digging it because the first book was so good.
yeah, that first book has a standalone game, is excellent. The second book, I think it's much weaker, and I think a lot of its weakness just comes from the basic storytelling choices they made. Like, I don't think there's an easy way to fix that weakness. But then they ended with a cliffhanger where I'm just like, nope. Like that was a jump the shark moment. Where it's just like, okay, this you've reached another trajectory. Like,
Yeah.
this has now become like a parody.
Yep. So ultimately, I think that I am scoring it higher than Nick, and I probably will go back and play it again as a streamer mode. If the community is interested, I'm totally down to do that. In fact, I might even do it tonight. But yeah, I would say I would feel a lot more comfortable getting it on sale. I feel definitely very comfortable getting it on Game Pass.
Yeah,
Really, really glad on Game Pass. I think if I'd have paid full price, I would have been a little,
it
felt a
is on Game
little
Pass
burned.
now.
Yeah, but it is on Game Pass. So grab it on Game Pass if you have Game Pass. If you don't have Game Pass, then I would say wait until it goes on sale. Or go on to Twitch to somebody who's playing it in streamer mode and play it with them.
Yeah, honestly, that's kind of the neat thing is you could just watch someone playing it and you get a lot out of it.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah, and Corey Wallace makes a good point. It's only on Xbox. I think it's on Xbox and PC.
Yeah.
Is it only on Xbox?
I think it is only on Xbox because I remember it being part of their Xbox State of
Oh,
Play.
that's right. Yeah, I don't even think it's on PC.
Yeah. So
Hey, AC Wraith just said, this is kind of off topic. When we were talking about shaky cam, he said he tried to watch Cloverfield, and right as it got started, his sim sickness kicked in, which, yeah, that movie shakes a lot.
Yeah, I don't think you'll get sim sickness from this because only
No.
now that we're watching it can we actually see that it's moving. And it's not movement within movement; it's still screens and there's movement around it. So I don't think it will get your sim sickness.
I remember that Cloverfield movie.
Corey Wallace says no one plays PC anyway. Those are fighting words, not for me, but for some people.
No, only dorks play on PC.
Yep. AC Ray says, if we get noticed on Twitch, then it could be just in time for the Warframe marathon. I don't know. And AC Ray says, Dusk Falls is on Steam and the Windows Store, so it is on PC. Let's see. Blood Reaper says Call of Duty is still going to be on PlayStation because if not, they will lose money. We'll get into that in the news section. Don't worry, we're getting into that. You're not a dork, AC Wraith. You're fine.
If he plays on PC, he is. Yeah, that's just
There's nothing wrong with playing it on PC. I think that if you're in streamer mode, it's probably easier to play it on PC.
All right, that game is overall is probably easier to play on PC. Yeah. Like the way the cursor worked on the controller was not.
Yeah, that's actually, it's a good point. Yes, the way that the cursor works on console is not the greatest, to say the least. And I think that if you are going to do it on streamer mode, playing it on PC is almost essential.
Koi asked, are you still playing City Skylines?
The game's glitchy AF on console. Did I play it on console? I think I might have tried to play it on console. I haven't played City Skyline in a really long time. I was really into it for a while, as you know. And then I forgot. And then I came back to it, and then I've lost it again. So, I don't know. It's like an old boyfriend. I keep going back to it. Same thing with Sims. The Sims, I will leave it and then come back years later, and it's just where I left it. Just with more skins and more packs in it. But that's about it. So, anything else did you play, sir? Was that English? Yoda.
Anything else? Else you play? Yeah, I think so. Well, speaking of going back to things, I went back to Elden Ring.
Oh, finally.
On Waypoint. One of the Waypoint people has been also getting back into Elden Ring, and he's been doing it by basically one day a week. He streams it for like 8 hours. And I've been watching them and seeing him find things in places that I've been to that I didn't find.
Oh, that's the worst. That's the thing that absolutely will bring you back into the game.
Yeah, that was when I was like, okay, I gotta go back.
Gotta go back.
I gotta find it. Whether or not I use that item, probably not. But I want to find it.
You want to find it. I get it.
And I think I had stopped playing that at a good point because where I am now, I'm kind of over leveled and too strong for the areas, and so the game is relatively easy, which has made getting back into it a nice, gentle learning curve instead of like a steep one because I've got a weapon and I'm super high level, so I can kill most enemies in like 1 or 2 shots. So that has made getting back into it a lot of fun. But other than that, hey, guess what? That game is still really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course it is. I'm tempted. I'm real tempted. I think next time it goes on a really deep discount, I may pick it up. But I just know this is going to eat my life. I just know it. It's like,
it will
the first time when EverQuest came out, I just avoided it because I knew it would be crack. And when it finally did play it, it was crack.
Okay, but see, this has an ending. EverQuest does not.
No, that's true.
It's ultimately not an MMO. It's just a really big game.
It's just a really big game.
And it will only eat your life if you end up really enjoying it, which I give it maybe 40% chance.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You give it that low, huh?
I think there's a distinct possibility that you could get really into it.
Mm-hmm.
But more likely than not, you'll play it and go, I can see why other people like this. I can see why Nick likes this. I don't want to invest 120 hours into it.
Oh, AC Ray says, I was told there's a mod that you can play the entire game cooperative without disconnecting.
I've seen that.
I would play it cooperative with you.
It's only on PC.
Oh.
So that's tough.
But you could play the game all over again on PC.
Yeah, I could. I could try a different build.
Yeah.
Which is a lot of fun.
Yep. I threw away my old PC, so I now have an empty spot underneath my desk where the PC used to be, where I could get another PC. And have you seen the prices for GPUs? They're screaming down right now.
Really?
Yeah, they're coming down, but because crypto has no longer the darling child it used to be. The drop in the whole market, I mean, it's lost something like $3 or $4 billion of worth, and so their crypto miners are like, yeah, we're not going to buy more GPUs. We're fine with the ones we have. Yeah, so the it's normalizing considerably right now. So yeah, I mean, maybe if I get a PC,
maybe if I'll get a Steam Deck and play this on that.
Maybe when we get Steam Decks, we'll play it together. I wonder if you could. Can you do the multiplayer mod on Steam Decks? That would be interesting to find out.
I'm sure you could. I'm sure it's a process, but I'm sure you could.
Yeah. Anyway, so any other games that you played, sir?
Yeah, I played more of that Octopath Traveler mobile game, the Champions of the Continent, and that game is still being really fun. I've hit a point where, not that I feel like it's because you have the characters and each character has their own weapon. There are some bosses. The way the game works, the combat system works, is you need to hit an enemy's weak point to break them, which stuns them and they lose a turn. And then during that time, you do considerable more damage to them. But you need to be using the weapons that they're weak against. And that changes per enemy. So every time you encounter a new enemy, the first phase of that fight is always, hey, let me discover what they're weak against. Is it a sword? Is it a knife? Is it a staff? Is it a bow? Is it fire? Is it lightning? You just kind of throw things at it to see what it's weak against. Or you have a character whose ability just tells you one of those. My main group is a very diverse group of people. I have like one of each weapon. That's fine for most basic enemies because they're usually weak against a wide variety of things. But I've encountered a few bosses that are weak against like 3 things: a sword, a bow, and fire.
Right.
Well, the way I have my team set up is I can only do 2 of those per attack round. So that means at most I'm only hitting his weak spot 2 times per round. Meanwhile, he's hitting my guys and taking off half their health every attack. So I'm just not able to attack his weak points fast enough. What I need to do then is go back into my formation, add in more characters with swords, swords or bows. That way, whenever I hit attack, I'm hitting his weak spot 4 times instead of twice. But that means I have to get all those characters up a level to that point. Thankfully, the game provides various ways that you can quickly level a character. You have an item that you can give them that you earn a bunch from doing things that just like, hey, here's experience. 3 times a day, you can watch an ad and then fight a creature that gives your whole team like 1,000 experience points, which is quite a lot. So I've kind of gotten into this pace of I have a B team. And for them, I'm going to do the watch an ad, fight the creature, get a lot of experience 3 times. Then with my A team, I'm going to go do a bunch of side quests. And the side quests, they're pretty over-leveled for. So it's mainly like, just get through the story. But once I get everyone on parity, then I want to go back and start fighting those bosses that kicked my ass before.
Right.
So yeah, and I still think the monetization, it asks way too much in its microtransactions, but I have pulled that gotcha machine several times without having to put a dime in.
That's good.
Yeah, like I get enough rubies, like the paid, not paid currency, the currency that you use to play the gotcha game.
That you could pay for at an exorbitant amount of real money.
I've earned that at a good enough clip that like this past week, I've pulled the gotcha machine like maybe 2-3 times.
Mm-hmm.
And considering you get 10 characters each time, like that's giving me a lot of resources for the characters.
Right.
So I don't feel like it's pushing me towards any of that. It actually feels like a very realistically paced, properly monetized mobile game.
Good.
Yeah. And I'm still enjoying the story, right? It's like all these anthologies, little short stories of these people in this world just dealing with various things. And it's a good earnest RPG.
Good.
Square Enix has had some issues with how they handle game studios, but you know what? They can make a good RPG. They know RPGs.
Yeah, they definitely do that. So is that all of the games that you had for this week?
Yeah.
Okay. I have another, as usual, if you are not following us on Twitch, you should, because I am playing twice a week Crusader Kings 3 with different challenges. This most recent challenge, Dick had to step away. This most recent challenge I am doing an effort to try to see how long I can go inbreeding my children before I take a character that is artificially awesomed, like beyond what a normal character would be, and see how many generations it will take to destroy that genetic line. So the point where they're either sterile, or I'm calling it the Habsburg moment. I'm trying to Habsburg this whole family. That I'm marrying my brothers to my sisters, and the brothers to sisters, fathers to daughters, however I want to do it. Now, I made some tactical decisions that were very bad. One of them being is I decided to play as the Holy Roman Empire. Because I figured, start with the biggest, that's the whole thing about the whole Habsburg thing, is that they intermarried in order to consolidate their power. So that they wouldn't lose land to other houses, other realms. And I thought, Holy Roman Empire is a pretty good example of to start out with. However, a couple of things I didn't take into account. One, the Holy Roman Empire, you start and everyone hates you and wants to have war. Number two is nothing is optimized to make money. Number three is that it is holy, meaning it is Catholic, meaning you can't just randomly marry your children. Number four is it is an elective. It doesn't the empire does not hand it down to your heir. It is an elective, meaning that I think it's like the 5 most powerful lords in your realm all vote to who's going to be your heir. So it's a little more challenging. I started out with probably the worst possible place, but we're at the stage now, and we ended the last show yesterday, that I have finally reformed Catholicism to Catholic but more fun. So I started my own religion called Catholic but more fun.
You've reformed the religion to allow incest.
We have reformed the religion to allow incest. And
I believe that's what the actual Reformation was about, right?
right. We have also renamed it to the Not So Holy Roman Empire. But on top of that, which is also kind of sort of interesting, is that I did not play this game in order to increase the size of the Holy Roman Empire. However, simply by sorting out the finances of the Holy Roman Empire, all of a sudden everybody was like volunteered to be vassalized. The Holy Roman Empire is gigantic, and I didn't fight for any of it. I had one war for one county because it had a mine in it and it would make me more money. And that was it. That's the only war that I have fought for land. And yet I have probably quadrupled the size of the Holy Roman Empire. Aquitaine is gone. France is that close to just disappearing off the face of the earth. So it's been a really interesting playthrough so far, simply for that reason, that unintentionally I'm winning the game, like in the traditional sense. But we're now just at the cusp of where I've married my son, two of my sons, to the only two daughters that I have. If I have any more daughters, they're immediately going to get betrothed to their brothers and sisters. So we're on our way. Now is when the actual whole thing starts, where breeding is going to start happening, and we're going to start hopefully seeing some mutations, and it's going to be very interesting to watch. So if you are interested in joining me, we do this on Wednesdays at like 6:30, 7 p.m., depending on when I get the dogs walked and after I get off work, assuming that I don't have to work overtime. And Saturdays at 4 p.m. So you can join us on Twitch. We don't do it on Facebook or YouTube, just Twitch. So if you are not subscribed to us on Twitch, you might want to go do that right now. Thank you very much. Again, if you're watching not on Twitch right now, please stop and go over to Twitch, because we're that close to a milestone being crossed with Twitch, and we want to get that milestone. And if you are watching us on YouTube, don't forget, like and subscribe. Like and subscribe, because milestones are important. So that's about all I got with Crusader Kings. It's been interesting. It's been fun.
Cool.
Yeah. So, anything else before we hit the news?
No, not what we've been playing.
All right, then. Well, then, let's hit... Stop, wait for it. Let's hit the news. This is the GameHounds news, the news, and commentary of the week in gaming, with Gamer Edie and Nick DiNicola. And our first item is...
Well, I guess let's start with a lot of the above the fold stories.
Please do.
There's been a lot of Sony and Microsoft back and forth this past week.
A lot of drama.
Specifically, I think there's... When a big merger happens, like Microsoft buying Activision, in Brazil, companies are asked to comment on it. And PlayStation, Sony, had some comments on that were in the Brazil that would have been translated.
Yeah, and it's because exactly. It has to be reviewed by the... It's not the DOJ. It's not the DOJ.
No, it's not, because
in the United States, no, this is the Brazilian one. But each of the different countries have their own governing, like, governmental body to prevent monopolies from happening. And they kind of have to get the blessing from each of those countries. In the United States, it is the SEC, not the SEC.
I think it's the FCC.
Is it the SEC? Is it? Oh, I want to say it's something else.
But anyways, the point is that...
in Brazil, that's where they're filing. And, of course, everything is in Portuguese. It has to be translated. But apparently the fight is there. And the documents that are coming out are fan-freaking-tastic. It is pure popcorn.
So from this specifically...
FTC. Thank you. It is the FTC. Thank you,
FTC, yes. Microsoft has argued that none of the games that Activision Blizzard makes can be considered essential, which is kind of an understandable stance, but kind of a weird stance considering that you're spending $70 billion on something that's completely inessential.
Yeah.
No big deal. No
Right.
one cares.
Right.
And
sorry.
in these translate documents, Sony has basically come out and said, no, that it is essential.
They said what Call of Duty it's in its own genre of game. There's no other game like it, which is not true. Totally not true.
It's not true that it's its own genre, but in its like stratosphere, like it is. Look, I like Battlefield over Call of Duty. Battlefield isn't anywhere close to selling what Call of Duty does.
Right,
it's
but
not a competitor.
I have to find the actual words that they used, but the actual words they used, of course, Sony is making it sound like it's way more
one of the things that they did have
completely different than any other game out there. It's like no, it's sort of not.
The brand
it's the biggest of a kind
IP.
of game.
They said the brand is the only video game IP to break into the top 100 of all entertainment brands, including things like Star Wars, Game of Thrones, Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings. Call of Duty is so popular that it influences users' choice of console, and its community of loyal users is entrenched enough that even if a competitor had the budget to develop a similar product, it would not be able to rival it. Which is all things that we've actually seen are true.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of arguments on both sides. It's just interesting to watch Sony's take on that and Microsoft's take on that, and I think the truth lies somewhere in the middle.
Yes, because look, Sony knows Call of Duty is important. They've paid for like exclusive content, right? Of like, hey, download this DLC. It's only on PlayStation, or will only be on PlayStation for the first year,
right?
Like, and they know that will get people to buy PlayStations because it will influence people's buying decisions.
They're not wrong about that. But there were other things that they had said about how it's like unique in the gaming world, and there's no other game like it. And it's like, no, I can't.
If you take that to mean like first-person shooters, then obviously no. But if you take that to mean from a cultural perspective, that's absolutely true, right? No other first-person shooter has entered and maintained itself in the public consciousness the way Call of Duty has.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know about that.
Really?
I agree with that, yes. But I wish I could find... I don't want to argue. I agree with you, what you're saying, but I know that I read something that was like an eye roll. Like, no... I just can't remember what it was specifically because I don't have the story in front of me. So I'm looking for it as we speak.
Okay. Well, then Microsoft in other comments shot back with some dings about how PlayStation runs its store. And they basically said, let me find the actual quote.
Yes.
Shoot, where is this?
This is why you prepare for the show.
No, I have the window open.
This is why you copy paste into a separate document the important parts. Just saying.
Okay. It says, this is the translation.
Okay.
Sony could be able to leverage the high quality of their first-party games even more by making them available on PlayStation Plus at launch day. Such a strategy might be able to quickly speed up the growth of the service's user base as a response to the competitive pressure of Game Pass or other services. The strategy is not adopted by Sony. The strategy is not adopted by Sony, even when it comes to the new and updated PlayStation Plus.
Mm-hmm.
So there's
it was like zing. It's like if you're complaining about how, you're getting owned in your streaming, maybe it might be good for you to improve your streaming, to make it more like Game Pass.
Yeah. But this is where I take exception, and this is where I fall squarely on Sony's side.
Okay.
Because Microsoft is all about Game Pass and all about subscription services are not your friend. We talked about this last week too. They are not in the consumer's best interest. Do not mistake that.
Mm-hmm.
So there's another quote. This is from that basically what Microsoft is really arguing about is that Sony is basically that basically, look, even with this acquisition, we are still the third biggest player in the gaming sphere. Sony is still ahead of us. And what they're really afraid of is the market power of Game Pass. What they're really afraid of is this new innovative business strategy. That's what they're afraid of. Not that we will have too much power, but that we have come up with a better business that is not what they do.
I don't disagree with that.
There's a quote that from the document, that basically what Sony is afraid of is an innovative business model that gives consumers access to high quality content at lower short-term costs. That sentence right there is the subtle knife that slips into your ribs that you don't realize in there until it gets twisted.
Yeah.
That specific term, high quality content at lower short-term costs.
Right, lower short-term costs. Eventually it's going to cost more for consumers.
It's like gambling. The house always wins. Do not mistake Microsoft, like the Game Pass has like, oh, it's this great deal and all that. No. They know they can bilk more money out of you if you subscribe. They're not doing this to like be friendly to gamers. This is like a purely financially motivated thing. It's like this isn't some sort of David and Goliath story about Microsoft trying to like be the pro-consumer console. And I see that in comment boards and in Reddit threads and in various things online. I see that sentiment and it frustrates me because it is so not that. It's a big corporation that knows
Sort of.
they can get a lot of money from streaming services. And here's the other kicker. The idea that, the old way of doing things is just afraid of the new way of doing things, right? That's what streaming is. What have we been seeing the past couple weeks with streaming services in movies? We've seen Netflix lose subscriber growth and fucking panic like the apocalypse is coming because for one quarter, they didn't grow.
After a pandemic.
Yeah. Like after record growth.
Honestly, it wasn't Netflix that panicked. It was investors that panicked.
Yes. And that's just as bad.
Yeah.
And what we've seen
investors are stupid. Investors are fucking idiots.
What we've seen with Warner Brothers Discovery, like the new CEO is like basically saying, hey, these streaming services, I don't like them. I'm going to reinvest into theatrical. And the whole business is like, oh, fuck. The whole investor class is like, oh my God, the sky is falling. Because for the past several years, since Netflix like created streaming, they have created this business model that completely disrupted how movies get made, how television get made, how we consume basic video media.
Absolutely.
Is that method better? Is that method financially stable? Because Netflix's finances are basically, let's incur a bunch of debt to get more subscribers. And they've been doing that for years and years and years. That's why when they didn't grow, they panicked so much. Because that suddenly that whole business model of let's spend more to get more. And all of a sudden, it hit a wall.
You didn't get more. Yeah.
And now the question is, like, I read a lot of box office analysts and like the way streaming movies work, the way Hollywood movies work, and how if you spend $100 million to make a streaming movie, that's not actually the equivalent of a $100 million theatrical movie. Because in theatrical, you pay a lot of people back-end profits, right? The money you make over time from theatrical distribution then gets paid to contractors and actors and directors and all that stuff. With streaming services, you pay all that up front. So when Netflix spends $200 million to make a big blockbuster, it kind of looks like a $100 million movie, right? It kind of looks a little cheap. And that's because that money's not going on the screen. And that completely changes how we view things, how the whole model of streaming, it's disruptive, yes, but is it long-term, is it stable long-term? I think is still up in the air. And what we're seeing now between Netflix and, you know, basically the crunch of stuff that people have after the pandemic, Warner Brothers Discovery, that whole situation is you're seeing people for the past couple of years, especially with the pandemic, there has been a race to adopt streaming services. Everyone wants those streaming services. Right. And now we've hit that wall where we realize maybe we don't need this. Maybe this isn't best for everybody.
Well, it's because so many people rushed to capitalize on a temporary market created by the pandemic. And in a way that probably was driven by investors demanding that they do it without considering that the pandemic was eventually going to end.
Yeah, well, the pandemic sped up this process, but I don't think it's all the pandemic. Because like I said, look, if you want Disney to make Avengers movies, they need theaters. Mm-hmm. You cannot get that level of spectacle and special effects on a streaming only movie. Like that's just, the finances absolutely do not work out. Mm-hmm. And so this idea for the past couple of years of like, who needs theaters? Let's just go to streaming services. That idea that has completely disrupted Hollywood, it will backfire on consumers, because then if that turned out to be the case, we wouldn't get the same level of movies that we have been getting for the past several years.
Right. But also movies and movie studios and even game studios, or should say console makers, they are not the only ones that suffered under that kind of false delusion, not that inability to look down the road of, okay, if we do this, what happens when the pandemic ends? Mm. I was just reading in the Wall Street Journal about bicycle stores that are so fucked right now because they over-ordered bikes because there was such a demand for bikes during the pandemic. And now that the pandemic is over, they've got a glut of bikes in bicycle stores. Now, a reasonable person, and I say this as someone that I know it's hindsight is 2020, but I even knew this at the beginning of the pandemic, is that this is a one-time only thing. This wasn't going to be a forever thing. And you had to gauge very carefully not to over-order based on the concept, on the idea of the pandemic being longer than you think it was. Was the pandemic longer than we thought it would be? Yes. Was it as long as people were making decisions, business decisions on? No. There were a lot of people, and investors too. A lot of, and that I think comes back to the cryptocurrency Robin Hood thinking. There is a disconnect from the value of a stock based on what the company actually, that's fundamentals, versus stocks. It's just moving because it moves.
But like I said,
which is again, what cryptocurrency does.
Yeah.
Cryptocurrency moves because it moves. And stocks move because they move, because other people all get together and do all the same thing at the same time for no damn good reason. And stocks don't work that way. So, not in the long term.
Super quick aside, there's a new show on Netflix called King of Stonks that I really want to watch because it's the new show by the guys that did drugs, how to sell drugs online fast.
Oh, no, really?
Yeah.
Oh, if you haven't watched How to Sell Drugs Online Fast, such a good show.
Yeah, it's really good.
Such a good show. I was the one that made you watch it.
Yeah.
And it's as good as I said it was, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So
yeah, King of Stonks. You just reminded me of that, saying that. But
okay.
Like, I don't think this whole issue is just because of the pandemic. You see this with the music industry. The music industry is ahead of everyone in dealing with this shit because you look at streaming services now, and a lot of artists hate it. I think we're slowly dealing with that in movies. And to bring all of this back around finally, my point in all this is that Microsoft is trying to do the same thing Netflix did with Game Pass. I don't think that disruption is healthy in the long term for the industry as a whole. Microsoft wants a world where we don't own any games.
Right.
And I find that very, very frightening.
But at the same time, I also notice that you really love Game Pass.
I like it, but you know what?
You play a lot of Game Pass games. In fact, I recall you talking about how you're just diving into Game Pass and finding all these free games to play.
So I was, but for the past several months, I've been playing a lot of mobile. I've been playing a lot of Elden Ring on PlayStation. But Game Pass still gets my money, right? And the truth is, if I were to go on Xbox and buy 4 games, 4 indie games that are on Game Pass, I would spend more than $15. But Microsoft wouldn't get as big of a cut from that money, right?
Right.
Even though it's cheaper for me to play these 4 games on Game Pass, Microsoft is happy to do that because they get a bigger cut of that subscription fee than they would if I went out and bought all those games directly. Right. So it's in their best interest to push this convenience to me.
Yes.
And I'm happy to do it because, hey, I pay less. But again, I don't think it's necessarily healthy in the long term for the industry. And so when I see Microsoft making these little dings at Sony of like, oh, you're not putting your games out day one, tisk, tisk. What I see is, no, they're putting their movies out in theaters because they know that that's A, that makes more money in the long term. B, that gives them a sense of prestige so that when they do eventually come to any streaming services, people pay more attention to those than they do any Netflix original movie. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of benefit to not putting something out on streaming initially.
Right.
So when I see Microsoft make that little ding, a little alarm goes off my head of like, you motherfucker, I fucking see you. I see what you're doing.
But it's a pretty good burn.
It's also pretty good to burn. And this is not to say that Sony is innocent in all of this.
No, they're not wrong.
No.
It's not saying you might be disagreeing with the concept of Game Pass and disagreeing with the way that they're framing it, that it might be more consumer friendly. But Microsoft is not wrong. PlayStation's streaming service would be a much better streaming service if their games came out on the streaming service day one.
Yeah. But also,
it is the unique selling proposition that makes Game Pass so,
when I say like, I see the sneaky little business shit that Microsoft is doing now, thanks to some leaked documents that have come out between Capcom and Sony, we get to see the sneaky little business shits that Sony does, which is specifically, they signed a marketing contract with Capcom. And one of the things in it is they banned the game from coming out on any competing subscription services for at least a year. And what that means is, it's not a matter of, this is for Resident Evil Village specifically.
Well, you've actually skipped a really big step on this, is that Microsoft absolutely accused in their paperwork of Sony paying for the blocking rights to keep titles off of Game Pass. That was part of that those documents.
Yeah, that was part of the translation things.
Right. Part of the translation thing was that was Microsoft's like saying, hey, Sony's paying to keep it off of Game Pass, in fact, because they're so afraid of us. And
yeah, Piss says subscription services, not streaming, which is I was kind of using those terms without distinction
right
in my past rant, but you get what I mean. It's kind of the same in this situation.
So this was reported by The Verge, and this kind of took a lot of different news outlets a little bit by storm. With this particular line, Microsoft's ability to continue expanding Game Pass has been hampered by Sony's desire to inhibit such growth. Sony pays for blocking rights. This is word for word from the translation. Sony pays for blocking rights to prevent developers from adding content to Game Pass and other competing subscription services. And that made a bunch of people go, what? Really? And they didn't go into any detail, which that line sounds very incendiary. It could mean a lot of things. It could mean that Sony literally does not allow developers its financial support, or it gives them additional financial support not to put stuff on Game Pass. Or it also could mean a simple matter of Sony paying for exclusive rights to have the games on their own services. Or it even could be as, I don't say innocuous, but comparatively innocuous, as having certain publishing contracts that stop the games appearing on Game Pass.
Yeah, and
there's nothing. So as substantial as that is that claim sounds, it could be something from as little of you're exclusive to us. We're paying you to be exclusive to Sony, which console exclusivity is not a new thing and hasn't been a new thing for the last 15 years.
And I think that's what a lot of this leaked contract between Sony and Capcom is right. This idea of, it's taking the idea of console exclusivity, but expanding it. Mm-hmm. Because basically what it says is like, hey, we'll enter into this marketing agreement with you. We'll help promote your game. But as a result of that, you can put your game on Xbox, right? We're not going to stop you from selling your game on Xbox, but we are going to stop you from putting that game on Xbox's subscription service.
So they specifically call out Game Pass in these leaked documents.
Yes, the specific quote is, during the term that this marketing contract covers, publishers shall not authorize, assist, or encourage any third party to include the game in any competitive platform subscription service, including but not limited to Google Stadia Pro subscriptions, Microsoft's Xbox Live Gold, Project xCloud, or Game Pass subscription service, or similar competitive platform subscription services.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, not only is it, hey, if we entered into this market agreement, you can't put your game on Game Pass for a year. It's, you also can't be an Xbox Games with Gold game for a year.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's that idea of exclusivity twisted a little bit, right? Because Resident Evil Village is still available on Xbox,
right?
But is it available on Game Pass? And whether or not Capcom would want it to put it on Game Pass is a whole different question, right? Like, right. I don't think Resident Evil 7 is on Game Pass. Is it on Game Pass? I should check that out, actually.
I don't know. I wouldn't know that. Not a Resident Evil player. I know you are.
It looks like it was on Game Pass, but is now off of Game Pass.
Curious.
Yeah, in May, it used to be, Resident Evil 7 was on Game Pass. So with that in mind, like, maybe come November when Resident Evil 8 came out and a year will have passed, maybe you'll see that game get added to Game Pass because that exclusivity agreement has now passed.
Right.
So yeah, there is like Sony working behind the scenes to keep things off of Game Pass because, yes, they do see it as a threat.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, these Brazilian documents are just a treasure trove of just like literally, like grab popcorn and read them through or wait for somebody to find the next revelation in this translation. Who knew that being able to read legal Portuguese legalese would be such a boon for somebody in the gaming community, but apparently it is. So let's see. That was quite a lot. We'll keep you posted about what's going on with the Sony Microsoft drama, because this is not the last one, and it's not the last country where we're going to be seeing this.
Yeah, I mean, these
arguments.
Activision.
Yeah, it all stems. From the Activision acquisition. We're just rhyming all today. But this is the first country that these arguments are being made at this point.
Yeah.
These arguments are going to get way more sharpened by going from country to country. They're going to get more refined as rulings are made from other countries and things that are that land successfully in Brazil. They'll probably hammer on those arguments in Europe, and the arguments in Europe that do well are going to land in are going to be probably part of the FTC, United States Federal Trade Commission argument, and vice versa. So,
and I wonder too how much of this is just a matter of like Brazil has different like transparency laws that allows this stuff to be put into public, which then allows it to be translated, and that everyone is saying these things everywhere else. It's just like in the US, they keep it under lock and key.
We get to see it.
Yeah, we finally get to see this stuff
possibly,
that people have been talking
part
about.
Of it. So let's see. My first item is the other, I think, sort of above the fold thing that happened this week was a bunch of news. It all started with a Kojima tweet, as many things do in gaming. Kojima this week took to Twitter, and rather than tease a new game, which is what he has been doing, he actually reshared the artwork for PT with the line, "It's been 8 years." And that's all it took. There was no new announcements, no suggestion that anything new has happened with PT, of which, if you recall, that was a trailer that was downloadable trailer, that was playable trailer, that was really fucking awesome, and was subsequently identified as that would have been the next sequel to the Silent Hills game series. And when the relationship between Kojima and Konami fell apart, not only was the PT trailer taken down, but it was actually, you can't download it anymore. They scrapped the whole thing and scrubbed it from the internet for all intents and purposes.
I still have my PlayStation 4 with PT on it.
Good for you. I erased mine.
I never deleted it.
Good for you. Well, it did send tongues wagging. In fact, Guillermo del Toro, who was supposed to work with him on PT, actually chimed in with just a simple 2-letter reply. F.K. We all know what that means. Let's all say it together. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Fuck French Konami.
Kiss. Oh, wait, that's right.
So, that started a bunch of news. What in the chat room?
It just the idea of him just tweeting out.
Just him, FK. And here's the link for the "It's been 8 years" tweet.
Oh yeah, there's still hard feelings.
Yeah, there's definitely still hard feelings. There's clearly still hard feelings on the part of Hideo Kojima, and obviously still with Guillermo del Toro and a lot of other people that replied to that. So that kind of lit Twitter on fire. In addition, that also, I think, sparked another thread that went on relatedly but separately to that tweet from Kojima. And it was from someone that it was only identifies him or herself as Pearl L. Pearl L was Konami's first-party lead at the time of PT's release. Obviously no longer with Konami. And they tweeted this week that and they were very candid about it, about what happened behind the scenes with the PT thing. Pearl has since made his or her account private, but before that happened, of course, everybody screenshotted it. So this was the first tweet. Fun fact, since I was the first party lead at the time at Konami, I helped get this product set up on the storefronts, fake publisher and everything. And I was the one who had to call Sony and ask them to take it down and block re-downloads. That was a super fun conversation. And a commenter asked if the situation was awkward. Pearl replied, "Awkward is right. We'd already gone through a lot to get it set up, got a lot of operational exceptions, and then to add the request to block re-download, more engineering workarounds. It was exciting to see people hype about it and then see the work pay off. But in a way, also not so." So, yeah. I think that there's enough distance on Konami that a lot of people that might have been afraid to talk about Konami and were involved in the situation at the time are getting to the point where they're not so scared of talking about what happened with this. I think it's pretty universally accepted that Konami was absolutely in the wrong in this, and was
no one likes
they
him.
did nobody likes him, even in the industry, that they did. Kojima and everybody working on that game completely dirty. Everybody at Kojima Studios. And of course, Kojima left or was fired, was sidelined and unable to talk about anything until his contract expired. And when he did, he created Kojima Studios. He's since released Death Stranding. He's already working on another one or two games. I'm not quite sure. I know he's doing a sequel to Death Stranding. We're pretty sure of that.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's right. That was a rumor.
Right. Yeah. I think
right.
he's perpetuated by him. The rumors about Kojima are usually created by Kojima. That's his MO. But yeah. So there was the tea that is starting to get spilled. I'm wondering if this is not going to be the last person. I would imagine this is probably not going to be the last person that starts to spill this tea. Although it does say something that after putting these tweets out there, that Pearl made their profile private. That also says something that even despite everything, that people involved are not necessarily exactly feeling free to speak about what exactly went down. Maybe one day we'll get the whole story. Kojima hasn't said anything. Konami hasn't said anything.
Yeah, I'm sure this is the kind of thing that, like, give it another 10 years and somebody's
going to write a book. Somebody's going to write a tell-all. And I will buy it. I will be reading it in the old age home, but I will be reading it. All right, so next item.
This is just a little sad and funny. Netflix recently started putting games out. You remember this? Netflix had a whole, hey, we're getting into video games.
Yep.
Apparently, nobody's playing them.
No.
I mean, discoverability has always been an issue with Netflix, and taking games into account, the way that it's set up, I totally understand this, but apparently less than 1% of Netflix's subscriber base has played the games they offer.
I'm one of them. I went in and I saw Exploding Kittens and opened it. didn't play it, but I opened it.
I mean, I updated my iPad to be able to play these games, and I went and downloaded Into the Breach on iOS so that I could play it, because Into the Breach is one of those Netflix games. I've not played it yet, but I am genuinely looking forward to it.
Better play soon before they pull them.
But yeah, no one's playing Netflix's games, and I'm sure there's a lot of reasons for this. Part of it has to do with the choice, the choices that they offer, but also the fact that, it's hard to find out what games they offer.
Right. And they're not really advertising it. I think the vast majority of Netflix users, if you told them, hey, did you know that you can play games for free on Netflix? They would be like, really? You can? Where's that? You were a Netflix user. You're a video game journalist. And when I told you about this, you were like, really? I was surprised when I discovered it.
Yeah, I remember the way it works is you open the app, and the way the app is,
it's buried.
The app is like, the top is whatever new show they're gonna push, whatever new movie or show. Then it's got like the top 10 for Netflix. Then it's got continue watching, a row of continue watching. And then it's got a row of like, oh, we saw you watch Stranger Things, so we'll do this. Oh, we saw you like blah, blah, blah. And then a couple other rows of recommendations and categories. And then you get to games. And it's just like, a row with a button that says see more. And then you can press it. But it's like that row that says, hey, look, there's games, is several down. You have to scroll just to see it.
Right. It's really, really hard to find. So it's not like they've done themselves any favors to actually help people or encourage people, because ultimately Netflix really needs to focus on its movies. Netflix has to focus on its movies. Its games are not going to save its flagging movie subscriptions. And it's not going to keep people subscribed to it. So they're not promoting those front and center. And they should. They absolutely should, if they care. If they care enough that they've made a big deal about this. Like, we're making a big deal about it. Does Netflix really care? Maybe. It depends. It depends on how much it's actually costing them to put these games there.
Yeah.
If it's not costing them anything, then it's no big loss.
Yeah, it's like
I don't see that they put a big chunk of change into this. They probably did not. That's why it's not that big a deal. It's making a lot of headlines because it was all coming out at the same time of we talked about it last week about how Netflix has lost 47 million subscribers in the last year. They haven't grown. It's an alarming amount of people that they lost. Not surprisingly, because end of pandemic, people are going back to work.
Yeah.
We don't have a bunch of movie watch. There's no more shutdown order. We're actually working. We've got to, even from home, we got to work 8 hours a day. That we didn't have to do that in 2020.
And also, it's just people that would not have normally subscribed to it did, because, hey, look, there wasn't much else to do.
Right. You couldn't go out. You couldn't go to dinner. You couldn't go to a show. You couldn't go to a movie theater. There was nothing to do but be at home. You couldn't even go to a supermarket in some cases. So they just sat home and watched Netflix.
Yeah.
Now they don't have to.
And I've seen some people say there's some really great games. Like Into the Breach is a hugely critical darling. Mm-hmm. And to have that finally come out on mobile is a big get for them. And there's some other games that I've seen that are good. There's one called Point B that I've heard is a ton of fun. But yeah, Netflix has always been bad at advertising stuff to people, at promoting their own shit. Mm-hmm. And this is just more of that.
More of that. Absolutely.
They don't need to fire all of their bloggers and all of their people. What they need to fire is their marketing team. or maybe they just don't have one, and that's the issue. Maybe they need to hire a marketing team.
They definitely have one. They definitely have one.
Yeah, they need to fire them, or they need to do something on the algorithm to like better promote their initiatives like this.
I get the sense the biggest advertising opportunity that Netflix has is Netflix. That's people go to Netflix more than they go to anywhere else.
Oh yeah, put it at the top.
Exactly.
Put it at the top.
Put it at the top. But they have cluttered two things. They've cluttered their dashboard so much that it's fucking almost impossible to like go to. I have a hell of a time finding my list of saved stuff on my Samsung television because I use the Samsung app to watch Netflix. I have a hell of a time finding my list because it's buried under all of these algorithmically created lists, like 30-minute laughs and made in Korea and anime. It's like, I don't need all of these lists. Watch it again. No, I don't need. Why? Why is that even a list?
Yeah.
Watch it again.
So I know I went to Netflix and I'm on the website. The website is very well done, where the first row
share the website. I want to see your website. See, your website is going to be very different than my website.
Oh, I'm sure.
Because it's all going to be like K-dramas.
Oh, Netflix. Okay. So, like, it's an advertisement for Day Shift, the new Netflix movie, right? Okay. Then you've got My List, which is stuff I've added to it. Then you've got Continue Watching. Then you've got Recently Added, Trending, and then you get into like weird categories, and then you got the top 10s. But the thing is, on the TV, my Roku TV, this is different.
On Samsung, this is absolutely not what you see on the Samsung app.
So on my Roku TV, you've got the big video ad at the top, but then the first is like the top 10. Then it's like Recently Added. Then it's Trending.
Right.
Then it's something, and then it's Continue Watching.
Right.
It's like,
and then try to find your list. It's like, it's not only, I wish it was at the bottom of the list. It's not even at the bottom of the list. Because if at the bottom of the list, I would just go up and go to the last list. But no, they've buried it in the center. So you have to go through all of these crazy, like I said, algorithmically created genres of stuff you might be interested in. It's like, no. Where's my list? And you eventually, after looking, you finally get to your list. And sometimes for me, I don't even go. I don't even like get to my list. I get halfway looking for my list and I stop because it's like, you know what? Fuck it. I'll just go to YouTube. Yeah, I just quit out of Netflix. Like, I've just spent 10 minutes looking for my list. I'll just, now I only have 20 minutes to watch something. I'll go to YouTube.
Well, I guess I could say the biggest.
Corey Wallace says your Netflix will be just all Floor is Lava reruns.
Hey, I am not ashamed of my Netflix. My Netflix is gold. But I would say I think
you have watched. It's by the way, one of those things is Schitt's Creek. You have watched Schitt's Creek, right?
Yes, yeah. Okay. I'm like in season 3 or something.
It's really good. Schitt's Creek is so funny, and I had every reason in the world not to like it because there are a lot of actors on it I do not like.
Oh, really?
Oh, I hate
the Levy.
No, Eugene Levy. I love Eugene Levy.
Okay.
I hate with a passion to the point of where if he's in something, I will not watch it. Who's the guy that plays Mayor Shit?
I don't know his name, but I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah, him. I can not stand him. His sense of humor is just, I find to be just not funny at all. And he features very prominently And I had to kind of hold my nose the first couple of episodes in it to just like, okay, just let it pass, let it go. Just it's like nausea, like hold it down, breathe through it, you'll be fine. And then eventually just fell in love with the whole thing.
Yeah.
Watch Schitt's Creek.
I was going to say, like, the biggest ding I can have against Netflix is that they have a lot of stuff I like, but when I go to watch Netflix, I have something in mind. Mm-hmm. I want to watch X. I want to watch Sandman. So I'm going to turn on Netflix, watch Sandman, and leave. I'm going to watch X, Y, or Z. I don't just open the app and go, I want to watch something. Right? I've never done, I just want to watch something.
They have this thing that's like, surprise me. No, I have not. You are going to give me something I do not want to watch based on everything that I see on your dashboard. I trust you not at all with my 30 minutes of time.
Yeah.
By the way, what's this how to build a sex room? Oh, it's trending now. Okay, that's not your reference.
Yeah.
So nothing you've watched.
No, I think, is that... No, yeah, I don't think that's a comedy series. There's a comedy series.
Chris Elliott, thank you very much.
Yes. There's a comedy series called Bonding, I think, that I want to see. That's like about kinky stuff.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
The trailer looked funny.
Okay. An article from Eugene Levy in Splash, 1984. Nobody likes me when they first meet me. Well done, AC Wraith, finding an awesome link to an article. You are the link god. Okay, anyway, my next item is, let's see, what have I got? Let me go to my banners. We talked about Pearl. We talked about Microsoft. Oh, THQ. THQ had a showcase this last week. THQ Nordic, and it was they closed. They had their stream of like their song and dance and pony show, but at the end, the very end, because when they do these streams, the most important thing is the above the fold. Oh, and one more thing before we end the show, and that's usually the big drop.
And it's always at the very end.
Yeah,
they never do it at the beginning.
It's called a cliffhanger.
No, it's called ending on it's called the climax. That's what it is.
It's called a cliffhanger. That leaves you anyway.
No,
If you want to hear about, if you want to watch,
understands what the definition of a cliffhanger is. Cliffhanger would be if they said, "And we have one more great announcement next week." That's a cliffhanger. When they save the big announcement for the very end, that's a climax. That's basic storytelling. That's basic pacing where you build to the big end and then you end.
Okay. Thanks. Anyway, they had their big climax at the end of their Nordic THQ showcase this last week. They teased a new South Park game.
See, AC Wraith agrees with me. AC Wraith, you're on my team. I got bidders and AC on my team.
Okay.
Or I don't know about you. You're a coin flip still. It's the anti-crate block.
And thank you for the link to How to Build a Sex Room. Season 1. Lifestyle from a secret rock and roll dungeon to a next level spa. Designer Melanie Rose dreams up erotic renovations. Oh, I'm going to pass on that. That's all you. So anyway, yes, a new South Park game was teased. So back in January, this was kind of informally announced versus by a job listing that was posted at Question Games. Which was the studio that's made up of AAA developers who had done other games in the past, like Thief and Thief Deadly Shadows, BioShock, Dishonored, and some of them had done previous South Park games. And back in January, this job listing hinted that they were working on a South Park game, and that it might include multiplayer. And they were looking for somebody to work on a South Park game. with level design experience and someone who was familiar with multiplayer elements. So that would lead you to believe there's probably going to be multiplayer involved. So yeah, now they have officially said what it is. There were no other further details announced, but there was a short trailer that was obviously South Park. And of course, this is going to be the third game. If it's not when, not if, it's when it comes out, whatever it's named. We don't know anything officially. It's going to be the third game in the series. The first one was made in 2014, The Stick of Truth. The second one was 2017 with The Fractured But Whole. And this next one, don't know what it's called, don't know when it's coming out. Usually when they announce this, it's at least 2.5 to 3 years out. So we'll probably see it soon. But yeah, THQ. And THQ Nordic is not the kind of company that has so many irons in the fire that it would announce something and then it would be like Ubisoft, where it's 10 years that they're still teasing it. That's not what THQ Nordic does. So yeah, I'd expect it in 2 to 3 years.
That's good. I never got around to playing those games,
I.
but I really wanted to because they looked like a lot of fun.
They did. I never played any of them, which is kind of funny because when the South Park arcade game came out, I was in college, and they had one of them at Pier 39 in San Francisco, and I went to San Francisco State. And I remember discovering it at Pier 39, and I spent, and you have to remember, this is $1987, $88. I spent $40. That was 2 weeks worth of food money in college. 2 weeks worth of food money to play it and get all the way through it. It was one of the first games that was like to continue at a coin. If you got through this, if you got through the game and then you died, then you could add a coin and continue going in the story. That was one of the first games that actually had that feature. And yeah, I spent $40 in coins, in quarters.
Yeah,
and it was 1 quarter each. That tells you how long ago it was.
I can't remember how much money I've dropped on the Simpsons arcade game. The Simpsons arcade game and the X-Men arcade games are the ones that I've probably put the most money into in my youth.
Yep. So, let's see. That was my item. What's your next item?
This is a little bit more of a downer. Unity, the game engine company that has been having a rough time lately, has signed a new contract with the U.S. Army.
See, you said this topic, and I'm interested.
So they've worked with the U.S. Army for the past several years. Like, this is not
I was going to say this
thing.
is not new.
But it is something that a lot of their employees have had mixed feelings about. Mm-hmm. Like, hey, I wanted to come work on video games, and instead I'm developing like this system for drones. And it's like, I kind of feel icky about this.
Right.
Well, Unity doesn't give a shit.
Unity's just going to keep making it. It's just, as long as somebody pays money, I really don't care where you drop those bombs.
Which makes sense because, like I said, they've had a lot of trouble recently. Their stock has dropped. They clearly don't know what to do with their business. Mm-hmm. And so this is basically them, what feels like doubling down on any opportunity of just, hey, we need something in the short term. This is something, whether or not our employees like it or not, we need to show some sort of stability.
Right. Yeah.
It feels like a move of desperation more than any sort of like logical, well thought out business.
I don't know that that's necessarily desperation, because they've had contracts with the Army in the past. This is just a continuation of a relationship with somebody they've done business with in the past. Mm-hmm. And I believe they're not even the first gaming company, related to gaming, who has signed with the U.S.
Certainly
Army.
no. But for
The first one, I think that for developing, like weapons,
like
HUDs.
game engines, yeah. But again, it's weird for a company that was used to be ubiquitously known as the game engine for indie games.
Mm-hmm.
It got popular, and then people expected it to keep growing as a company, and so they kind of hit maxed out with indie developers. What do? I don't know. You buy
Government
a
contracts.
special effects company, you work for the military, you buy a mobile ad company.
Yeah. They're
Again,
trying to
like I
find their
said,
way.
yeah, it feels like a company that could have been a big fish in a small pond, a game engine for indie developers, instead jumped into a bigger pond and doesn't know how to swim.
No, doesn't. Yeah. Let's see. My next item is this is another kind of above the fold thing, so I'm sorry I waited so long to talk about it. Forsaken released a new trailer this week, and it was instant cringe from the entire internet. The whole internet hates
Honestly, I think the internet is
it.
dumb in this story.
Really? Well,
The internet's
here's
overreacting.
Here's what it is that
Shocker.
Forspoken.
Shocker. The internet overreacted to something.
I don't know. A lot of people were very much looking forward to Forsaken based on the graphics that were shown previously, that it looked really amazing with these great, it looked like it had gravitas. And then they released this trailer, which has a lot of the same artwork to it, but the voiceover is a woman who's kind of detached from it.
She's not detached from it. What it is it's just like the meta winking dialogue about a character who's from the real world, who then finds herself in a fantasy world and is commenting on that meta idea of, oh shit, I'm in a fantasy world. Am I going to fly next? And yeah, sure enough, she's going to fly next because it's a fantasy. Right. That's all it is. It's just, I don't know. I watched the little trailer. It didn't seem like that big of a deal. It's just a character, in that kind of winking meta way, commenting on the situation. Nothing about it felt so egregiously wrong.
I'm trying to pull up the trailer. Of course, it's not. There we go. Yeah, it got pretty well roasted by a lot of people. I cannot get it. I cannot find it on the fucking internet. Yeah, go find it on YouTube and watch it. It's the one with the narration. The original one was just the graphics with music behind it, and the game, simulated gameplay. It wasn't really gameplay. It was cutscenes.
I think what it is that this trailer came out several months ago, but I think the Twitter team behind the game, or the Square, who's putting it out? Square Enix is. Right. Their marketing team basically put out a compressed trailer that was just 10, 15 seconds. And that's what kind of blew up into this. Oh, let's roast the game. It's got such bad dialogue. It's that 15-second compressed trailer that was taken from the longer trailer.
Right. Yeah, it did not. It is getting roasted across the internet with people who are like, what the fuck is this? A lot of people are pretty, I don't want to say, it's the internet. People are going to be angry. That's what they do.
Like I said,
they're pissed because it's not what they thought it was going to be.
Shocker, the internet overreacted to something.
Yeah, it's in a way, but at the same time, it was clearly that Square Enix did not read the room. So it's. I'm curious, what anybody in the chat room or anybody listening to this after the fact, did you see the trailer and what's your opinion? Was it an overreaction by the internet for the people to be roasting it, or do you think it's justified, and why? Because I'm I wasn't as emotionally invested into this as a lot of people were in this game.
I see we found the
Obviously.
link.
Oh, we found it. Oh, great. I can't pull it up because I can't pull up links because I'm in my. But if you want to pull it up.
Look, I've been interested in this game since like since we saw the code name. I think it was Project Athia or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I've been interested in it since then because it looks really cool. And you
elaborate parody versions for Bloodborne. Oh, people are doing parody versions for other games. Oh, that's funny. Okay, I can't wait. That I want to see.
Okay, that's where I'll say. I think this idea that like, oh, this dialogue is so horrible. Oh God, it's so
that's
bad.
right, it was in a tweet. I forgot about that.
That reaction, that overreaction makes me roll my eyes because it's honestly dumb. But when people take that idea of, a character meta commenting on the situation, like, oh, guess what I'm doing here, and putting that into other games, that is funny. Like they've done that and turned it into, it's less of like a, this is so bad meme and more of a, let's use this to make jokes about other games meme.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, now that said, let me see if I can start this over and get the sound on. Do you hear the sound?
No. There we go.
So let me get this straight. I'm somewhere that's not what I would call Earth. I'm seeing freaking dragons, and oh yeah, I'm talking to a cop. Yeah, okay, that is something I do now. I do magic, kill jacked up beasts. I'll probably fly next.
Yeah, so that's the trailer that got everybody upset, and I can see that it seems like it's not taking itself seriously, and its graphics would lend you to believe it's a very serious game.
There have been plenty of games with high quality graphics that don't take themselves seriously.
Yeah, but I think that's not what people expected when that game when the actual state of play trailer was debuted a little while ago, 11 months ago.
Narratives, like, long form narratives, things that take place over several hours, they can do this thing where they shift in tone, where some scenes can be kind of lighthearted and then other scenes can not be. And it's a very dynamic, creative process. But it's most media is able to pull it off. And I don't think it's an unusual thing.
I wish I could fart right now to just prove the point. But I don't necessarily disagree with people that just seems like they're not taking the game seriously, and other people kind of are. I could see that this it was not received well, and that ultimately is the deciding factor of whether this is okay, whether it's good. Did people like it?
I think
universally everybody didn't like it. It's just varying degrees of didn't like it.
When the game comes out, if it's really good and people like it,
they'll forgive it.
Actually, you know what? I take it back. In a month, regardless of how the game is, everyone will forget about this.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of isekai, Uncle from Another World seems nifty. It's the aftermath when coming back. Well, don't know what the relationship is to that, or if it's just a rumor.
He said earlier that if this was an anime, it would just be shrugged off as another isekai anime.
Exactly.
Which is exactly what it is.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Yeah, people are going to forget about it, but that's kind of like the big knickers in a knot thing going on in the internet this week.
Knickers in a knot thing.
Mm-hmm. Every week we got to have something to knot the knickers. So, your next item?
I think my next item is one that you had too. Is that the XCOM-like tactics game, Midnight Suns, has been delayed into next year.
Yes, it has. Yeah, it's a big delay.
Yeah, this was originally scheduled to come out later this year.
It was originally supposed to come out in March of this year.
Oh, but then I can see that that's one of those COVID delays, got delayed into November, and now it's been bumped back even further.
Yeah, now it's going to be coming out sometime during the 2K's current fiscal year. That fiscal year ends March 2023. So it could be as much as a year delayed from its original date. So yeah, here's the quote from Firaxis Games and 2K. "We have made the decision to move back the launch timing of Marvel's Midnight Suns to ensure the teams at Firaxis Games and 2K deliver the best possible experience for our fans." This was in Take-Two's quarterly earnings call on August 8th. And of course, Take-Two is the publisher. "The title will launch later this fiscal year on Windows PC, Xbox Series X and S, and PlayStation 5. Now, yes, that's the big news. The big headline on that is it's delayed. But the littler headline on that is the second sentence. "The title will launch later this fiscal year on Windows PC, Xbox Series X and S, and PlayStation 5. So 2K statement said that the Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and Nintendo Switch versions will follow at a later date. So clearly, Firaxis is focusing on the development of the current gen consoles, and the last gen consoles are a secondary thing that's going to happen after the fact. So yeah, it suggests that they didn't even give a date for that. They just did a TBA. They just said at a later date. So it could be a year. It could be 6 months. Who knows? But yeah, Marvel's Midnight Suns is delayed. It was originally, they said March 2023, and then it was supposed to be October. Like early October. I can't remember the exact date. Let's see if I can find it. I don't remember if they actually said a date. Oh, yeah. They did say it was October 7th. So I knew it was supposed to come out in October, but it was October 7th. They actually had a release date, a hard date. And then, of course, now they're saying last fiscal quarter of the year. So sometime before March right now. They didn't even give a date. Which, to go from a hard date to a soft date, it's a little, doesn't instill a lot of oh my God. You can't see this on the podcast, but Nick's cat is just losing it on him, just rubbing all the stubble. See, the cats love the stubble.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he would do this regardless.
I know, but he really likes the stubble even better. That cat just so freaking loves you. Anyway, so now that you've done one item and you're engaged at the moment, let me see if do I have anything else? No, that's it. That was all my stories. You took my last one. So any other stories you have?
This is just a light one. That I just found later. So no headline, no bumper.
I hate it when you do this.
Fans of Apex Legends wanted to boycott the game, and they started this hashtag called No Apex August.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it is August 14th, and Apex Legends has broken a record for all-time players. So, I would say their heart was in the right place.
Yeah.
But it didn't quite work.
Yeah, failed to launch, just didn't work. And I feel kind of bad about that. Because when someone calls a boycott and then that fails so epically, it means that if there's ever a boycott in the future, they're just going to ignore it too. They're going to think, yeah, they can't get it together.
Yeah.
So it's going to make it that much harder for fans to register their disapproval about things that are going on in the game. What were they boycotting about?
So this is something this Kotaku article gets into, that it's kind of whatever you want. Like,
just a general random boycott. Well, maybe that might have been their problem.
Yes. So
they were boycotting just to boycott.
No, well, it wasn't just a boycott. They had issues, but the issues were kind of all over the place. The high ping servers, the lack of cross progression, the overpriced cosmetics, the lack of interesting cosmetics, the slew of specific items that some say are too powerful.
Okay.
Basically, a bunch of, look, you play a game for a long time, you feel like, hey, you know what? This one thing is bugging me. I don't like this gun. This gun, it feels too OP. I don't like, they should fix this gun. Or like, hey, you know what? We played for a bunch, and you know what? I disconnected like 3 times during the 8 hours I was playing this fucking game. I disconnected 3 times. They need to fix this. It's issues like that where, in the grand scheme of things, it's like there isn't like this one horrible thing that people have latched onto to boycott. It's just a bunch of little annoyances people have.
It's like it's what I call the marriage syndrome. That and this is, you know, a life advice for all you unmarrieds. If you're thinking of getting married, make sure that you get okay with all the little annoying things, because if you are not, and all those little annoying things all add up and you add 20 years, those little annoying things are no longer little. They are big and you can't take them anymore. So you got to get, sit down, write down all the little annoying things that annoy you and put them on two lists. Things that you are willing to address to see if you could find a solution, and things that you can let the fuck go, and then refer to that list at least once a year so that you know that I knew this was going to drive me nuts. It's just the way things are. This is going to drive me nuts. I accepted this.
And that feels actually like a really important point to bring up in this context, because I think a lot of the people that were saying we should boycott this are the people that play it a lot.
Right, because it just gets amplified because you're playing it so much for so long that every time, if it's, you know, maybe once or twice, you'd say any game. If I was being disconnected maybe once, in a gameplay, but if it was like all like hundreds, magnitude of multiple hundreds of games that I got disconnected from over and over, I would be angry too.
Yeah, like let's say, if you play for an hour, you get like 4 matches in and you got disconnected from one. You're like, oh man, that sucks. But I started another one and I played the rest of my game session and I didn't run into any issues. You take that and you compound it by 8 hours, and then you take that and you compound it by
years,
7 days. Then you take that and multiply it by 12 months. Like, I imagine some Twitch streamer that only plays this game over and over again.
Right.
And yeah, it's things like that the average player clearly doesn't care about.
Yeah. Little annoying things. And yeah, I could see that. Well, good for them. Can we all pick a day not to play Apex and Strike? This was 2 months ago on Reddit. Yeah, I guess it didn't do well. All right. Any other topics before we close out the show?
There's just in the Discord, in the game deals section.
Yes. By the way, if you ever have a news topic that you would like us to cover, put it in the news tips in our Discord server. Our Discord server, that's one of the reasons why it's there. So go to our Discord. You can find the links in our descriptions, but on top of it, there's the link right there. And join our Discord. Add it in to, throw it in your news tip or your topic with a link to the news article or whatever it is. Guaranteed, Nick will bring it up in the show.
maybe not guaranteed, but I'll
Nick
try.
will look at it.
Yeah, I'll look at it and keep it to myself because I don't want any of you getting in these deals. This is a zero-sum game. Every game that you buy is one I can't. So I don't trust any of you.
Yeah, just because Nick's an asshole.
But no, one of the things that stuck out to me is that Best Buy is currently having a 10-day, like every day, new games on sale. And so for the past week, they've had various games go up for like $10. Today, it's Watch Dogs Legion. And so for Xbox, PlayStation 4, and PlayStation 5, you can pick up the game for only $10, which is pretty good. In the past, they've had Death Stranding, Back for Blood, Neo 2, and Call of Duty Vanguard. And going forward, for the next 5 days, each day they'll have a different game on sale. For $10, like these are all pretty big AAA games. So I think it's something that's worth checking out.
Yeah, Back for Blood for $10, that's a very good deal. Back for Blood is not a bad game. We really should be playing that more.
I could play some more of that, yeah.
Yeah. I could.
You know what doesn't end on a cliffhanger?
Back for Blood.
Back for Blood. I don't know. I've never.
You don't know. You've never gotten to the end. All right. So
it's called the 10 days, 10 games, $10 sale.
Oh, okay. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
There we go. Back up your groupies purchases. Their storage may end this month.
Oh. I don't know what groupies is, but
I don't know what groupies is either. Nick, you have to click on it because I can't click on stuff.
Oh, it's a Humble Bundle-esque thing.
Oh,
it's a bundle site.
All right. It's not Humble Bundle, but it is a bundle site.
That's what it looks like.
Okay. So if you purchased anything on groupies, you might want to back it up.
Oh, okay. Wait, I need to refresh this. On their homepage, they have a little running header.
Link.
I don't want to link.
Share screen. Share screen.
I might miss it.
Share screen. Are you going to try and share the screen?
Yes, I'm going. Hey, there have been some major disruptions with our technical team based in Ukraine, so we're not currently able to offer bundles. That may change. We can guarantee users will be able to download the assets through the end of August. We will keep you informed about the future of groupies here and on social media.
Oh.
So yeah, it looks like some technical difficulties related to Ukraine storage is why they might lose out their promotional items.
Right. AC Wraith writes, Groupies is a bundle site. They had a lot of promotions for Steam Greenlight back in the day. Also lots of music and comics. So if you have anything on Groupies from the past, you might want to back it up just simply because of issues with their storage.
Yeah.
Russians! So, any other topics before
that's all I got.
All right, me either. Me too. So, what are you going to be playing this week?
Elden Ring.
Really? You're back in it. You're officially.
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right.
Elden Ring, Octopath, and then maybe I'll try to stick something else in there just to have something new to talk about.
I am going to try to add, I mean, obviously Crusader Kings, which is going to be Wednesdays at about 6:30, but probably 7 p.m. Pacific, Wednesdays, 4 p.m. Pacific, Saturdays. Still going to be trying to wreck my genetic line to the point of where I can't breed. And also, I'm going to try and play this. Was it the I'm going to experiment first with the streamer mode on As Dusk Falls, just to see if it will work, because I have no doubt that it works for PC. I somewhat doubt that it will work on console. I don't know how it would work on console.
That seems like a fair guess. I mean, if you're connected to Twitch, it should work the same way as any PC thing would.
Yeah, you'd think, but you never know. I mean, because the interface is so different between Twitch, because like I can't see comments on the Xbox console while I'm gaming. I actually have to have Twitch up on my phone to see if someone comments. It doesn't actually show up on my screen. Like on PlayStation, you can choose to have it play on the screen. You could also have it use voice, like digital voice that will read the comments over while you're playing. So you'll get a notification that somebody said something in the chat. And if you don't understand what was said, you can always just go into the chat and look at it. But you don't get that on Xbox. So without having access to a chat function on Xbox, I don't know if the streaming mode will work. Don't know. But I'm going to try and experiment. And if it works out well, I will do a backseat. Let's play together. And I'll announce it in the Discord channel for sure. I will announce it.
Also, AC Wraith makes a good point that Crusader Kings 3 lady says I play too much Elden Ring.
Point taken.
Glass houses and all that.
Touche, sir. All right. So, on that note, anything else before we close out the show?
No.
All right, then. Let's close this out. You've been listening to GameHounds, episode 649. We recorded this on Sunday, August 14th, 2022. I've been Evie Sellers. With me has been Nikki Nicola. If you want to get a hold of us, gamehounds.net is our email, and gamehounds.net is our website. Gamehounds@gmail.com is our email. We record this show live every Sunday, except next Sunday. No show next Sunday. But usually every Sunday at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, we do it on Facebook, on YouTube, and Twitch. On Facebook and Twitch, we are The Gamehounds. On YouTube, we are Gamehounds Vids, V-I-D-S as in videos. We would love to have you join us. Thank you so much to everybody in the chat room. You all are absolutely awesome. I love the fact that you're all here. Of course, AC Wraith, our link bitch. Corey Wallace, thank you for being with us for as many years as you have been. We had Pissed. We had Blood Reaper. We had a couple other people. We had Mark Clemens. Thank you so much for being in the chat room. Please join us next week if you can. Let's see, what else? We Patreon. We are 100% Patreon supported. If you have not supported us on Patreon, fine. But if you can, we only ask for $1 a month. That helps pay for all of the subscription required to actually put this on video, because it's not inconsequential and it takes a little bit of the load off of us. So you can find us at patreon.com/gamehounds. $1 a month. That's all we ask. Nick, don't forget our Discord server. If you're not on our Discord server, go join our Discord server. This is where we're all at, where I make announcements if I'm about to go live or if I'm going to add a new live stream. If something happens, like Nick gets hit by a bus or goalie runs over him or something, we'll cancel the show there. You'll get the first news that Nick is in the hospital. And you can find that
seems really specific.
I know it is. If you want to find information on how to get to the Discord server, you can go to any of the 3 different places that we are. It's in the description. Thank you so much for listening. And also, if you follow us on iTunes or iHeartRadio or any of the podcasts, don't forget, like us, give us a feedback, review us so other people can find us. Have a great week, everyone, and be careful out there. Talk to you later. Bye-bye. stop, save. 649 raw and saved. Okay. Yeah. Nothing happens until I save the show, save the audio portion of the show, because that's important. All right. I guess. Do you want to play? No, I kind of need to do laundry and some stuff around the house tonight. So no gaming tonight. If I do, It's just going to be impromptu. I'm just going to play something on console, but probably not. Yeah. So what are you doing next week that's keeping you out of the show?
Rachel's parents are coming over.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Yeah. So have a good week, everyone. Please, again, do take care of yourselves. Be safe out there. COVID hasn't gone away. It's just in, a dip. The next surge is coming. And thank you if you are watching on Twitch. We really, really appreciate that. I'm crossing my fingers that we can cross that last little metric of viewers per hour to get us to that milestone. Have a great week, everyone. Thanks.
Let me know when you stream, and I can watch it on the TV and on the tablet and maybe on the phone.
Perfect. That would be awesome.
Boost the numbers. No shame in that.
Nope. Have a great week, everyone. Bye.